Hey, what's up, guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here. Happy Sunday Funday to you. I've got a very special treat for you today. Miss Anjali Bhimani, and she is Symmetra from Overwatch. She is one of the stars of Overwatch. She is one of the heroes from Overwatch, and I am honored to have her here today, not just because she is my very first guest on this show, but she's my personal mentor. She and I have known each other for years, and I just feel so lucky, not just to have her here today, just to know her in general. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, guys. This is so interesting having a live stream and having you. I feel like I should close this live stream, but I want to see what the people want to ask. So you're going to have to help me. I'm not technically savvy.
That's what you got me here for. By the way, for everyone who does want to know, I've got my live chat option right here. So if you do want to ask Anjali any questions at all, you just let us know, and she'll be happy to answer them for you. You ready to get into this, Anjali?
I'm so ready to get into this. And forgive me, guys, my voice is a little toast. I did a lot of traveling and came back with a cold, but I'm going to talk as loudly as I can.
And we're just glad you made it back safe.
Thank you. I am too.
So as I said, she plays the character Symmetra in the hit Blizzard game Overwatch. And so before we begin today, she and I, as I mentioned, have a very interesting history together. Do you want to tell the viewers out there how we met?
How about I start the story and then I pass it over to you, because I like it when you tell the story.
All right.
All right. So I was on a train from New York to D.C. because I was heading down there to do As You Like It at the Shakespeare Theater. And I sat next to this lovely gentleman named Victor. And we just struck up a little conversation. And he started telling me a little bit about what he does and what he's into, and mentioned that he was thinking about starting something but wasn't sure how to go about it. And I, being me, were like, well, why not? Come on, let's figure it out. Let's figure it out together. We got 4 hours to sit here on a train. Let's figure it out. Go, your turn.
Well, it's so cool that she mentions that. So in this time period, you guys may already know that I was already doing the Mythic guides for Halo on halo.bungie.org, but I didn't really have the guts or the, I guess, perseverance to start my own YouTube channel yet. I wasn't quite sure if I was ready to do that. And then I sit next to Anjali, and she's just, she knows what she's doing. She's confident. She's in the process of writing her own script. And I was like, why am I not doing this? I need to be more like this person. She's getting herself out there. She's traveling everywhere. She's getting all these gigs, these great ones, might I add. And I need to start doing that myself. And so, we sat together. This was a long train ride too. And she was just so nice the entire time. And she even got me some M&Ms. I didn't ask for that, but she came back and she look how nice this person is. When you hear about how nice people are, actresses and actors and just people of the screen, you never really believe it, but then you meet them and you're like, wow, this person really is totally cool. And so we got back and, we exchanged information, and she was in town doing a play. What was it called again?
As You Like It. It's a Shakespeare play.
As You Like It. And she had a very real, I watched her perform. I went to her show. She was amazing. She was out there. And I was just like, I need to be more like this person. And she has been my mentor ever since. There was a specific time, I've got to tell this story, where I was in the midst of doing my first walkthrough for Halo Reach, my legendary one on YouTube. It was my very first series. And I panicked. Do you remember why I panicked?
Was it when we talked about the neti pot?
Yep. I couldn't speak because I have chronic allergies, so mine is always sniffly. You guys have heard me in the past. But it was so bad this time that I was panicking. I didn't know what to do about it. But I was like, Anjali's been in the game for a while now. And I know that she actually goes on camera. Like, she doesn't have the luxury of being able to do it whenever she wants to. She is, where she needs to be at all times. She has to be on set, on location, ready to go. So I was like, I know that she's probably come across this scenario before. She's got to have the cure. And she mentions this thing called a neti pot, and I thought she was making it up. I had never heard of this before, and I was like, is this legal? So I looked it up, and yeah, it was a real thing. I went to my local pharmacy, picked it up, and it was gross, don't get me wrong, but it worked. And that's all I really needed. And I was able to do my live stream because of it. Not live stream, but I was able to actually get my video out on time because of it. And I have Anjali to thank for that. And she's always looked out for me.
Cure your allergies, everybody. Look at that.
We got a little message from Kathy Albright here. And she says, I love you, Symmetra.
Hi, Kathy. And I see Max is there. Hi, Max. I just missed Max in Amsterdam. I'm so sad about it. I was there for too short a time to get out to you, but we're going to make it happen. I promise. And hi, Gaza Win. Hi, guys.
Welcome everyone to the chat today. So I'm sure our audience here is eager to learn a little bit more about you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, who is Anjali? What is the world like outside of your acting life?
Well, it's funny because my acting life does intertwine a lot with my life. You know, we live in a world now where thanks to the internet, we can be connected to people, we can be connected to fans, we can be putting out content at the same time that we're out on the road. I was traveling for the last 2 weeks, and at the same time I was able to put out videos and stuff like that. So really, it's just this super fun seesaw of spending quality time with my loved ones and my dog and my family, and spending time with work, and what is life outside of work? I mean, it's really lovely. It's lovely. I do what you guys do. I try to play Overwatch, and I'm terrible at it, so I don't really do what you guys do. I'm very, very bad at it. I admit it freely. No one should ever think that I'm good at it. But yeah,
there's a learning curve.
It's a good. I feel like I've finally, at this point in my life, achieved a good mixture, and that doesn't mean a balance, because someone taught me once. I believe it was Dallas Travers, who's a wonderful career coach, who pointed out that when you're on a seesaw and you're balanced, nothing moves, and then the seesaw is really boring. So it's not about balance. It's just about keeping it, you know, keeping this sense of equilibrium and equanimity. So yeah, there's singing, there's dancing, there's playtime, there's dog time. There should be a workout time that really should be happening.
That makes two of us.
And there's quality time with my family and my dear ones and my loved ones, and of course that too, which is kind of for me what I do my best, and I've been very lucky in recent years. I do my best to work my work around spending time with my loved ones as much as possible, because at this point in my life, I feel like that fuels my work so much more. And they also know, everybody who's closest to me, especially my partner, know full well that my work fuels our relationship. So it's just this great payoff. It's this great balance.
It sounds like you've got it nailed down pretty tightly.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say I've got it nailed down, but it seems to be working for me. Everybody's got something different, right, that works for them, which is why when I met you, it was so much fun, because for me, it was almost less about what you wanted to do than, okay, that's what you want to do. How do we figure out how you do it? Let's do that.
You help me figure that out. That's the thing.
I don't know what I'm doing, but sometimes having a total stranger have that conversation with you is a little bit easier than having people close to you. And I've certainly found that in my life. And it was a fun 4 hours. So there.
It was fun. And you know, the interesting thing about that is, at the time, you know, I was big into gaming. You really weren't yet. And it seems like this just was kind of meant to be a little bit, because all of a sudden you start doing this voiceover for a hit game by one of my favorite companies, Blizzard. Sorry, 343. I know you're watching this too, but you know, for Blizzard, they're probably my second favorite, just because I do like World of Warcraft. Sorry, guys. I am a World of Warcraft fan, and Overwatch is fantastic too. And all of a sudden now you're in my world, and we can actually share this world. And I just think that's so amazing. It almost seems like fate in a way.
Yeah, I mean, who says that you aren't the person who sort of guided me towards this? I mean, you know, every time we popped into our lives a little bit, we all had a little bit of connection into both worlds. So look at that.
That's a great way to look at it. I think that's exactly right. I don't think I could have said that any better. So you have quite a resume when it comes to acting. Tell everyone here just how long you've been doing this and what inspired you personally to become an actress.
Since the dawn of time. I mean, I started doing plays and musicals in school, like a lot of kids do. And since theater was my first love, and I think probably because that's, you know, it's the most accessible thing, I think, in schools and stuff. You don't really have like TV classes when you're in 6th grade or anything like that. But getting on the stage and getting to perform for people is a very visceral connection. So I started doing that when I was younger. And then somewhere in high school, I realized I could do it for a living and that it was like an actual thing you could do. And my parents were amazingly supportive about that. And I went to Northwestern to get my degree there.
Wow.
Speaking of which, it's the Tony Awards tonight. Everybody, I hope Kate Baldwin wins. She's our girl. She's our girl. But anyway, went to Northwestern. And then when I graduated from Northwestern, started doing a lot of theater immediately out of school. And did a lot of shows with the Looking Glass Theater Company and Mary Zimmerman, who is a very prolific director and a wonderful person. And I've got to collaborate with her on many shows, and one of which moved to New York. It was called Metamorphoses. So I moved to New York with it, and we did it off-Broadway and on Broadway. And then I kept doing theater, started doing some film out there, did a few episodes of The Sopranos and Law and Order SVU. And
I saw you on that. That was very good.
That was new stuff. It was very new to me, though. It was a new language, which was exciting to be able to finally move into that. And then did an opera, did a few regional shows, and then started going back and forth between New York and Los Angeles to do television. I'd always, fly out of town to do theater, which is when you and I met, which is when I had just come back from Los Angeles through New York to go do that play down in DC. And then 2010, I pretty much put up shop here in Los Angeles, although I get back to New York as much as possible, and Chicago. And mostly was doing television out here with a little bit of theater, leaving for theater too. And then the voice acting stuff started to come in, and that was actually very recent. That was like 2014 that started to pick up. So it was another lane that was open to me, which was so thrilling because it wasn't like I had to completely change what I was doing. It was just a new lane that was open. And I really lucked out that the people that I hooked up with were the folks at Blizzard, because they are, I don't need to tell you how amazing these guys are, but they are just the most, they're just such tremendous collaborators, and so giving and so encouraging. And we've had such a great time with this whole thing. So yeah, that, and then Fallout 4, and TV and plays and voice acting and whatever I can get my hands on. I pretty much say that I'll do anything. I'll do anything they pay me to that's legal. Like acting. I don't have a whole lot of things I don't want to do.
Speaking of which, just out of curiosity, can you give us a little line from Symmetra, or am I going to have to start looking over my shoulder for Blizzard?
You know what? I could, but the problem is with this cold, she's probably not going to sound like Symmetra, so forgive me on that. But I could say, you were not meant for greatness, or welcome to my reality. She really sounds a lot like my mom.
You nailed that. You nailed that right on the head. Let me ask you, all right, so we got the voice acting. This is a huge thing for you, because now you get to go on the touring, you get to go to these gaming conventions, you get to meet your fans face to face, which is amazing. Tell me, what do you consider to be your first big gig?
Well, before this and before the voice acting lane was open to me, or I knew that it was open to me, I would probably say moving with Metamorphoses to New York. I think that would be a quantifiably big gig of the first. But what was so beautiful about that was that we came from Chicago with the original cast. None of us were stars. I think 2 of us were actually New York residents. And we moved there as this like team of friends who just put up this show for like $200 a week in Chicago, and all of a sudden it's going to Broadway. So that was my first real exposure, not only to being on Broadway, but also to the sense that, yeah, this is a field where the little guy can make it. Because I'm the little guy. I'm 5 feet tall. But because at this moment, we brought this show, thanks to Mary and her genius, we were able to bring this show to Broadway. So it was a great eye-opener in that way, too, to realize that it's not inaccessible if you work hard and you keep creating.
Speaking of, hold on.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
Oh, no.
So speaking of New York and getting that gig, it reminds me so much of what I went through when I got my data center job and everything. Isn't it awesome when someone's willing to actually take a chance on you?
Yes, and Mary was amazing about taking a chance on us, because Mary was the one. I mean, she could have recast all of us in New York City with stars, and she was the one that said, no, I want my people.
Sometimes that's all it takes, just to having a little bit of faith.
Yeah, well, and it's that kind of loyalty isn't always something that you see necessarily in commercial theater or in commercial film or television and stuff like that. But when it works out that way and something beautiful comes out of it, and it's really, really special, and it means a lot to us as actors, because as much as it may seem like being an actor is all like, woo, you know, flowers and unicorns, it's a tough road, and it requires a certain amount of willingness to accept rejection, and willingness to be replaced, and willingness to understand that this person might have more cachet than you. So for someone to be that loyal and take care of us in that instance was really, really special.
Speaking of really, really special, and you had mentioned before that you're fun size, I do want to take a second to say that Anjali also now has her own YouTube channel. It's amazing. She does her own little vlogs. I'm going to put a link in the description below at the end of this video when it's archived. And her show is called I Am Funsized. Do me a favor real quick. I know this, I originally wasn't going to bring this up with you, but I wanted you just to tell a little bit about that. What inspired that, and what just drives you to do that? What's your series about? Well,
it's actually something that I had been wanting to do for a long time in some way, but hadn't figured out how to do. I originally wanted to do a blog about being fun size as a petite woman, and then I thought that was very exclusive. And then I realized, well, I'm not the only one who's fun size. Everyone's fun size. Everyone is built for a fun life. It's just that sometimes we don't all feel like it. Sometimes we feel unworthy. Sometimes we feel unconfident. Sometimes we feel insecure. And what was the final thing that made me just sit down and do it was the beautiful fan art and the prolific, the fans that were coming out on Twitter and creating so much and doing so much. And I was like, who am I to be like sitting here and being like, no, I don't want to put it up until it's perfect. No, Jen Cohn said it in one of my episodes, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. So the idea is that people send in questions to me, not about games or anything like that, but questions. If they have personal questions about how do you deal with this in your life and whatever. And if there's something that I might have a tool for, I want to hand it over, because I've lived a little longer than some of the folks that might be watching. And that means I have a few more tools in my toolbox, and they may work or they may not. But regardless, the goal is to make sure that everyone has more tools to make their life more fun.
That's awesome. So when you actually respond to these people, do they respond back? Do they actually, take your advice into consideration, or?
Yeah, I've actually, a few of them have written back to me, and sometimes people, obviously are a little, want it to be private, and there are certain things that people have written into me about that I don't feel comfortable sharing in public for them or for myself. So I'll write back to them via email. And I try to keep up on that as much as possible so that everybody knows that they're being read and that they're being heard, even if I haven't had a chance to address it in a video or in a full email. But yeah, some people have, what I love is seeing the comments where people are like, I never thought of it that way. Because sometimes that's all it takes to solve a problem in your life, is not having the answer. It's learning that you can think of it a different way. And that for me that's the sauce. When you can get people thinking in new and creative ways, not how bad the situation is, but how do you solve it?
Well, what you're doing is sort of a two-layer step. What you just said matters quite a bit, but what also matters a lot is the fact that you're personally reaching out to them, and that means something. I mean, you're taking time out of your day to do that, and that is like a gift to them. They're so happy. And I'll tell you, I'm sure that your fans mean the world to you. My fans mean so much to me that I don't really call them fans. I call them community members, because here on MythicTyrant.com, it's a community. And so I do something similar to your I Am Funsized. I don't have such a cute title as you do. It's not quite as catchy. But I do a Q&A once a week, every Saturday. And the way it usually works is people will ask questions in the comments below for that week's video, and I'll select 12 of them to feature the following week. So I can, I want people to know that, yes, I read every single comment out there. I'm going to start trying to do more than that, but I didn't, at the same time, didn't want for folks to see like, oh, it's an hour and a half long video. I don't know if I'm going to do this. So I've shortened it to 12. But what you're doing means a lot to your fans. And so that's something that they appreciate. And I'm not going to lie, I appreciate watching it. It's a fun series. You've got a great sense of humor on there, and it's just fun to listen to you.
Well, thanks. I mean, again, I don't mean to sound cheesy, but it's because of the community that I was inspired to do it, because when other people are generous and you feel so fulfilled, you can't help but step up. You need to step up. It's kind of our jobs to take care of each other as human beings, right?
It is.
And so when
people don't say that enough.
When there's so many people around me doing that, I get great joy from doing that. And it gives me agency, it gives me purpose and something to give back besides just, a voice in the video game, which is fun and special, but limited in terms of what I can personally share.
It is, and I feel the same way. And I usually open up every week just telling them how much they mean to me just by being there, by taking time out of their day to sit here and just watch and interact. And to me, that's the best part of the job, is interacting. Writing
in right now, I see you. I'm trying not to, but all of you guys, that's out to you.
Let's see, we see a lot here. Are you looking at the live chat here?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Thanks, Midros. The dance was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to do. That's one of those great examples of my life and my work, because it wasn't really work, it was play. But my travels, that I had to make, connecting with, putting together something like this. So that was really, really fun. And something we wanted to share with Blizzard, too, because they made so many great things for this anniversary. We wanted it to be for them, too.
So talk a little bit more about this anniversary. I'm not really familiar with it.
So over the game has several different events throughout the year. Okay. This was the 1-year anniversary of the game. So they had a special event that lasted, I think, 2 weeks now, guys. It's ending tomorrow night, where you could get new skins for your characters and all sorts of fun stuff. And in the anniversary loot boxes, each character was given a dance emote. So we got the dancers together. We got a bunch of the dancers. We got a bunch of the actors together in several countries and several cities. Thank you, American Airlines, for funding my journey. They didn't fund it, I funded it, but I mean, thank you for making it safe. So we got everybody together to do a video about with all the dance emotes. That's what that was.
Very cool. Actually, now that you mentioned it, I understand how I got the game so cheap now. It is their anniversary, so they lowered the price for, I think, a weekend, and that's when I picked it up. So it was perfect. I'm planning on doing my review for it on Wednesday, and I am enjoying the game so far. So, yes, you will be hearing about Symmetra in that review. So, of all the characters you've played on both the big screen and on stage, which do you think is your favorite? And if you could, which one would you reprise?
This is such a hard question, because every time you do a role, most times you do a role, you sort of fall in love with the character. And particularly when you're doing theater, when you're living with that character for a very long time, 8 shows a week, you find more and more things to love about it. There's one role, there are a few roles. The role I did in a play, was it kind of last year already? I did a role in a play called Roof of the World, that was written by an incredible playwright named D. Tugger Smith, and we finally got a production of it going in Kansas City last year. And the story is beautiful. The character is everything. It's a beautiful love story, and she's this adventurous, strong-willed, amazing character named Safia, who is an Indian spy for the British.
Nice. You've got me interested.
Who falls in love with a British explorer during the time of the British Raj. And so she faces a lot of prejudice, and she faces a lot of adversity on her journey to save her husband. So that one for me is very, very special. I've lived with it for a long time, and Dee is a dear, dear friend of mine now. We've known each other for ages. And so that would be one that I'm really excited to reprise. I'd love to have another production of it anytime soon. Even in London, if we could, that would be beautiful. Wow. I always love going back to Mary's shows, because they feel like they fit like a lambskin glove. A fake lambskin glove. We don't like that. But like they because Mary Taylor makes the shows sort of she writes the show after she starts rehearsals. So she starts to tailor make things around the actors. And when we did Metamorphoses, it always felt very personalized in that sense. It felt like something that just fit. And when we first did it, it was right after 9/11. Actually, we went into tech 2 days after 9/11. And it actually became a really healing force for people who came to see it, because it was about the power of change and love and metamorphosis. And that's always had a really, really dear place in my heart, the whole experience. And then we did do it again in Chicago back in 2012 for the 10-year anniversary of doing it on Broadway, and then and also the 25-year anniversary of the Looking Glass Theater Company. So
wow, that must have been pretty challenging for you to do it just a couple of days after 9/11. I understand that the healing part. Was it hard to focus on that at all, or were you able to somehow just get in the moment and wrap yourself in it?
The one thing that was difficult, and this can often be a difficulty for actors that is not something that people quite realize. What was difficult was so many of the stories in that play, it's a series of Greek myths, and so many of the stories are about love and loss and redemption. And so a lot of it really touched our heart chords as we were doing it. And so to maintain that level of connection emotionally to what's going on stage, but not go so far as to be thinking about what just happened and how similar it is, and to people we'd lost, or to so much tragedy around us, that was a tricky thing. But it's also, again, it's our job. It's our job as actors to reach out to the audience, whether through the television or from the stage, and say, I've got you. For the amount of time that you are here watching this, I've got you. I'm going to go through everything. You don't have to. I'm going to go through any tears, they're mine. Anything you just sit there and watch it and have the experience you need to have. And at the end of this 2 hours, whatever time it is, you can go home and your life will be the same. Everything will be fine. And hopefully you'll have been able to go through this experience with us without having to actually experience it. That's our job, to be able to take people on that journey. So we did it.
that was beautifully said. Actually, one of the most moving speeches that I've seen in regards to the aftermath regarding another individual in the spotlight who was up there at the time, Jon Stewart. And I watched his Daily Show performance the first day that they got back to work, and essentially that's what he said, is we have to get back to work, and that there's they can't win. And it was such a moving speech that even today when I watch it on YouTube, I can't believe I'm saying this in front of my community members here, but yeah, I cry. It was beautifully said, and even he does when he's doing it. So what you said is exactly true. When people come and watch you, especially after a horrific tragedy like that, it allows them to sort of put themselves in another world, transport themselves into another place. And I think that's extremely heroic of you. I think that people need you, especially those times. And I'm glad to hear that you were doing it. You were right there on the front lines.
Well, I mean, thank you for saying that. I look at it and I don't think of it as like heroic or front lines. I think of it as this is what we do. The EMTs, the doctors, the people running into fires, those are the heroes, right?
Absolutely. This
is the only way that we know, at least for me as an actor, this is the way that I can give back. And so what can I do? I'm not creating policy, and I'm not a member of the armed forces. God bless them. This is what I have to help with. So how can I help?
And I agree with you 100% on that. I will say that, of course, the first responders, biggest heroes this country's ever had, of course, along with our armed forces. But I will say that just anyone who can present themselves and present the picture, being able to move forward and just take those who are grieving out of that, to me, are also just, I won't say that maybe hero is the wrong choice of word, but having them there does save people.
It's about, and I know. Look, if it wasn't for people like that helping me in dark times, I wouldn't have made through some dark times. You know, whether we're talking about an extreme tragedy like 9/11 or just something happening in your own life. Like I said, we're all here to take care of each other. We just all have different means of doing it.
Something tragic happened last November too. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward here. So we talked about your favorite role. What was the most challenging role?
Ooh. Wow. You know, it's funny. Just recently, I did a play that I was working on it for 3 years in readings with the playwright and fellow actors. And then we finally got to do a production. It's called Orange by Aditi Kapil. And it's a three-person play. I was playing all the women. A young man named Karthik Srinivasan was playing all the men. And a young woman named Pia Shah was playing a young autistic teenager. And for some reason, I had so much trouble doing that one until I realized, oh, you just have to be you. Like the main character that I played was a teenager, and I was like, oh, no, this is just you, only a different age. And once I really realized that I didn't have to do a whole lot more than that she was actually so similar to me, it became infinitely, then all of a sudden it was a joy. But the challenge of fighting against that, of being like, no, I have to make her more interesting than me, or I have to make her more this or more that. No, she's just, this is it. This is what you got. Like, you don't have to go nuts on that one. So that was a recent challenge that I really enjoyed. And then also recently I did a small film role in a film called Trafficked, and played an Indian madam in a brothel, and I had to do the whole role in Hindi, which is not one of my languages. I speak very little. But that was really enjoyable too, to be able to learn it for that and to be able to finish that. And I hope they're proud of the way it did. But yeah, I'm gonna have to think. Every role presents a certain challenge. You know, there are very few roles where I'm like, yeah, I got this. I don't need to whatever. Done. And I think that's just because I really want to get it right for the people who are sitting in that audience. They're spending their time with me. They deserve something really good, right?
You actually brought up an interesting point. Any role that you've had in terms of another language that you had to basically portray that you knew as that was your first language. How do you do that? How do you prep for that? How do you even get to a point where it's believable? Obviously you can, but how do you achieve that?
And study and study and study and study. That one was challenging because I only had 3 days, I think, to pull that one off. But other than that, you just, if you're doing a play, you have a rehearsal process, and you study. And you don't just learn the language, you learn the mannerisms, you learn the inflections, you hang out with people who speak that language. You try to immerse yourself as much as possible. I got to do a show back in Berkeley Rep many years ago where I had to speak Sinhalese, which is a Sri Lankan language. And that was all I spoke through the whole play. Did this huge monologue, but you do it. It's your job. You just learn it. I'm amazed. How do people learn Photoshop? You just learn it. You do it.
You do. So I became an IT engineer for 14 years.
There you go.
So, okay, now if there was a role that you could play that you haven't yet, if you sit there and, obviously you have your own favorite shows, or maybe you play games, if there was a role that you could fill, what would that be?
Okay, well, I'm not going to talk about my favorite shows because there are so many of them. I mean, obviously, I need to be on Game of Thrones. It has to happen, and I'm going to be sad when it doesn't. I've always wanted to be an action hero of some kind. But
you're in the right age for it.
No, but not your normal action hero. I like action heroes who are not like superstar. I've been fighting all my life. I like people who are ordinary people forced into extraordinary circumstances. That kind of a hero. The first season of 24, when Jack Bauer, now he had a special set of skills, yes, I know, but like when he's thrown back into it, because there's an emotional connection then to what's going on, and there's an uncertainty, there's a fear.
He had a special set of skills?
No, not Liam Neeson. But there's an emotional connection to being not sure if you can pull it off, to not being the most confident FBI agent, to not being all of those things. You know, that's why Jodie Foster was so brilliant in Silence of the Lambs. That fear in that whole last scene with the night vision is just palpable. You can tell she's not sure. So yeah, I would love to do something like that. I aspire to that. I have to work out a lot more since I haven't been working out lately. But that would be really beautiful to do. I would love to go back and do some more Shakespeare. Now I'm finally at, I think, the right point in my life where someone would let me play Cleopatra. So I would love to do that. And Antony and Cleopatra. Because that's a crazy play. But yeah, so much of what I want to play, I think, other than Roof of the World, which is one of my dream roles, hasn't been written yet. There are so many brilliant writers out there and so many brilliant playwrights who are creating material every day. And then occasionally you're like, that one, that's me. That's me. I know it's me. Bring me in. And so I can't really think of, other than, unwitting action hero. I can't think of anything else. And again, I don't want to go on and, I'd go down the list and be like, Better Call Saul, House of Cards, Game of Thrones. I would never stop. We'd be sitting.
Wait, Better Call Saul, but not Breaking Bad?
Well, Breaking Bad is over. I can't go back to Breaking Bad.
You can always bring it back. If the X-Files taught us anything, it's that even when it shows 16 years past its prime,
when something is perfect, you let it be. The Brits are very good at doing.
Did you hear that, Chris Carter? When something is perfect, leave it alone.
Well, I don't know if you got something better. Bring it.
Well, all right. So you are officially in the gaming world now. You do realize that, right? You are officially in the gaming world now. So what is your opinion of it so far? And is it everything you expected to be, or were you surprised at all?
I was blown away by the sense of community. When I was a kid, I played Dungeons and Dragons when I was really young. I started playing the basic at 8, and then played it through high school. And then I would play on my PC. I would play all the AD&D, Baldur's Gate, and all of that kind of stuff. So gaming was a part of my upbringing, but not to the extent that a lot of people in the Overwatch community or in the gaming community in general are now. And when I'm terrible at console games. I can't figure out what finger is supposed to do what and what combination of buttons. I'm just terrible at it.
It does take some work.
But what blows me away is the level of talent and generosity on both sides, on the gaming creation side and on the game playing side. If the people at Blizzard are any indication of the level of generosity and virtuosity of being able to make something, are they an indication of the rest of the world? That's the top of the line. That's allowing people to step into movies. You're allowing people to be the movie. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then on the flip side, I've just been absolutely blown away by how much this community has shared and stepped up and shown love and shown positivity to each other, and friendships I hear about forging and relationships happening. And it's a force that is way beyond anything that I could have created, certainly by myself, but it goes way beyond me or a game or anything else. There's a life energy to it that is really, really special.
There is. I tell you, there have actually been people who've gotten married in World of Warcraft. They met in World of Warcraft, they got married as a result of World of Warcraft, and had their ceremony in the game. Gosh, I hope that ring wasn't soulbound. Okay, so it's good to have you with us. Welcome to the gaming world. Do you think that voice acting a major character in a popular game is more challenging than on-screen acting, or do you think it's more the other way around?
Well, I think the challenge is that you are limited to this one element of your expression to share. Like when I'm in the room, I'm going to be moving, I'm going to be jumping, all this stuff when I'm recording, but you're not going to see that. You're just going to hear what's coming out of my voice. So there is a challenge there to put all of it into that one mouthpiece, literally and figuratively.
We can put some motion trackers on you.
Yeah. On the flip side, Yeah, I mean, there are things about it. The sessions are shorter. I'm not shooting for 12 hours. I'm not doing 8 shows a week necessarily. So there are endurance things that are different about it. But each different lane as an actor has its own set of challenges and its own set of things that might be a little bit easier than something else. It also depends on what was your first language. My first language was theater, so there was a lot of voice training. So that helped me out a lot. But yeah, I can't say that it's more or less challenging. It just has a different set of challenges.
Very nice, very nice. So you've been a dedicated cast member to Overwatch at this point. Are there any games out there that you would like to play or that you do play?
Yes, except every time I'm just so bad at the console games. I'm really, really worried about it. I'm dying to play.
The beauty of Steam. You can buy anything you want on the PC now.
Dying to play The Last Guardian. Because 2 words, puppy dragon. There is a puppy dragon in this game. It's a giant dragon puppy, and it's adorable. And
Are you talking about like Falcor?
No, The Last Guardian. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Someone in the chat say you know what I'm talking about. The Last Guardian with the little boy and the big puppy dragon. Is his name Falcor? I don't know. Maybe his name is Falcor, and I don't know what that's.
I remember that Falcor was the I thought it was just a flying dog, but in the Never-Ending Story.
Oh no, it is not. It is not the Never-Ending Story. I feel terrible that I didn't get that reference. I obviously am on way too much cold medicine at this moment. Yeah, no, I really want to play that game. I want to play Journey too because I've heard so much about it, and that is kind of this transcendent meditative experience. What else do I have? The Uncharted series. I started playing Uncharted 4. I went completely out of order. But there are a few that I want to check out, and those guys, obviously. And then I just, need to get better at Overwatch because it's a little embarrassing that I'm so bad at it.
Don't be afraid. Like I said, I've started playing your character. You actually told me it was one of the hardest ones to play, yet I managed to kick butt.
I don't know if it's one of the hardest ones to play for everyone. For me, I feel like I would be better at any other character. I've tried it in the trial, in the training mode, and I'm like, wow, I could probably be better at playing anyone else but myself, much like me in the play. Maybe this is a thing for me. But
I'm not going to lie, one of the reasons I love your character so much is because it sort of reminds me of a warlock from World of Warcraft, where you use all the curses, so you're slowly draining the life from the other players. So they don't even realize what's happening until it's too late. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm being attacked. And then it's just, they're gone. That's it. You win.
Life from other people. That's me.
Oh, gosh. So we're about to wrap things up here. But before we go, there are a lot of other video game franchises out there. And my question to you is there another franchise out there that you would like to be voiced in? And if so, would you rather be a hero or a villain?
Oh, I'm up for anything when it comes to games because these worlds are all so different and I wouldn't even know which one to pick. It's like, there's so many, it's like Christmas. But
Halo 6. Sorry, what?
There we go. See that one too. I'll take Halo 6. It's like Halo 61. I don't care. I'm around.
Oh gosh. No 343.
But hero or villain? It's funny. The thing I like about Symmetra is people aren't sure what she is. I know what I believe. But I think that the fact that she has a very strong sense of morality and duty to do good in the world, but maybe has aligned with not necessarily such a good company, makes it like morally ambiguous. I like characters like that. I would love for it, if it was going to be a villain, I want it to be a villain where you can totally understand what made her that way, or him. I mean, it's voice acting, so I can be whatever. Much like my character in Fallout 4, where you're like, wow, okay, I know you had a messed up childhood, but you took it and went for it. Okay, that's a thing.
When you describe that, it makes you think of Red Reddington from the Blacklist.
Yes, exactly. Or Magneto in the X-Men.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, yeah, that's a pretty good example right there.
You totally get it. You get why he went there. It's just not the way you want him to go.
Well, guys and gals, this concludes our interview today. I want you all to say thank you to Miss Anjali Bhimani.
Thank you, Anjali Bhimani, saying hello. That's okay, honey. Don't worry about it. It's a crazy name.
But it's so good to have you here, and I look forward to seeing more work from you. Before I let you go, there is one thing I do have to ask, because today's a big day for gamers everywhere, because it is E3 2017. I'm sure there are some people watching that as we speak, and so my question to you is there anything you can tell us about Blizzard and E3 2017?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. No, honestly, Blizzard is very smart about not letting us know anything, so we don't even have to hide anything from you. We genuinely don't know anything. So I got nothing for you. I'm so sorry. All I've got is me, but I don't got any Symmetra news for you all.
Well, hopefully we'll be getting some soon.
News or any Blizzard news or any Overwatch news, but I'll be as surprised and excited when it comes out as you guys are.
We are all looking forward to it. And speaking of which, we're going to switch over to E3 in just a few minutes. Anjali, it's been an honor having you here today. Thank you so much.
Sure. Did we miss anybody saying anything? I just want to make sure there were any questions. Doesn't look like it. Bam.
I see Meat Rose said, I would love to see you and Carolina 1-versus-1 each other as your characters.
It would be comedy more than it would be exciting. Trust me, between the two of us. In real life, she would kick my ass, that's for sure. But
I don't know. Nobody here seems to say Symmetra would win.
Hey, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe someday that's in the future. The two of us are going to have to practice a lot.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and enjoy E3 2003. It's so good to see you. If you like this video, click that subscribe button for more video game related content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on MythicTyrant.com. Don't forget about our Q&A Saturdays and our live stream Sundays. We'll be having special guests on. Guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. Have an excellent weekend and a great time at E3. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.